and then you're going to click New Project. You're going to name this Video Test at the top. And where it's saying Location, you click Browse, and then choose your desktop for now, and then click Choose. And that's basically telling you where your document's going to be saved, so you know where to access it. Brilliant. Then press OK. And then we wait. And then you have Premiere Pro.
Yep.
So on your screen, on the left, this is your source panel. This is where your clips are going to be when you're choosing which points you want to use.
Yep.
The program panel is where you'll find your clips all edited together in the sequence, in your timeline. The timeline panel down at the bottom, that is where you're going to be editing, chopping stuff and moving things around. And whatever plays in there will play in the program panel. And down in the bottom left is basically your library. That's where your clips will be stored. That's where the effects are. That's where everything you're looking for would be imported, or where you find it. It's basically your library. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, cool. So to import something first, you can either double click where it says Import to Start, or go over to File, Import, and then that will do the same thing.
Yep.
Our stuff is located in Horror Chase Scene, so you can either click on Horror Chase Scene and import the folder, or just select all the clips that you want to use and then click Import.
I got the folder. Is that
That's
a good
fine. You can do it that way.
We're doing a
screen recording. Right. For you guys, you've got your folder, and I've got mine open like this. So change that icon if you want to. Down at the bottom, it says Icon View, and it says List View. I prefer having it in a list, so I can see what the names of the files are. Again, it helps with the folder. If it's on the icon view, if you've got it as a folder, so you click back on the icon, you have to double click on that folder, and it will open up into little bits. That's basically what it does. So if you want to start editing something together, you've got to wait for your, mine's confirming the scenes. Yours apparently has already done that, so that's cool. So I'm just going to look for Chase Down the Corridor. I'm just going to go with that shot. It's normally the first one. So you can either double click on it, and it takes it to the source panel, or you can click and drag it up there. Okay. So at the moment, at the start, you've got your little blue tag, and you can bring that over to drag it through, so you don't have to watch the whole thing. Or you can have it at the start, and then press play, and it will start playing the video until you want to see the bit you want the scene to start out.
Action.
So I clearly don't want that bit. So you either click and press pause, or the best way I kind of do it is press space bar, so that plays and stops it. So stop, start, stop, start. If you want to go really into detail where you're stopping and starting, you can use the arrow keys, and that goes back frame by frame. So I'm going to go find where, just before he says action, press space bar.
Okay. And action.
Pause it there. And this is my in point. This is where I want it to start. So you can do two ways. I press I for in point on the keyboard, or on here, there's a little mark in there. If you can't do it, what I do is the short keys, it's easier. And then we play the video by pressing space bar to watch the scene. And then you just find where you want it to end. So I'm just going to go just before it says cut. And then we press O for out point. So that's selected those two areas that I want to use. Now, if you're ready with that clip, you just click and hold and drag it into your timeline, and it should make a new timeline for you. So click and drag. Yep. The issue with this, though, if you do it this way, imagine you had a bit of music that you wanted to use from a website or whatever, or you had a picture or something like that. You drag that in first. That will format your program to be that sort of setting, so it would be like not 1080p. It would be like a completely different sort of like ratio and everything. Yeah, so I always drag video in first that you're using, or you can make your own sequence at the start. But that takes a bit more tinkering around. But the main thing I say is always put your video in first that you're planning to use. Even if you're using only a little bit, just drag that video that you're mainly going to use into the timeline and delete it later so you can use something. Okay, so I've got my clip in first. Essentially, yeah, that's what you do. You go to, so you find your next scene. So I'm just going to do stair chase instead. And you just
Go up the
find
stairs, turn the corner.
point.
Action.
Again, yeah, just find your in points and out points. Press I and O, remember those, and you just drag them into your timeline again. And then, if you want to play it back, you can do on your program file to see what it looks like. Yeah, nice and simple. So on your program file, you've got all these different things that says V1, V2, V3. They're your layers. They're your video layers. Underneath that is your audio layers. So you've got audio 1, 2, and 3. You can have more audio if you drag that underneath where it says master. You'll make another audio track. So you have infinite audio tracks, but you try and want to keep it as tidy as possible. So you might want to have audio 1 just to have your talking, audio 2 might be music or sound effects, and audio 3 might be your music and sound effects.
Do you need to label them?
No, you just have to know where they are, or trying to be a bit more like just label it yourself in your mind, really. Sort of go, just if it starts getting all messy, that's when it gets all out of control.
So there's 3 audio tracks.
Yes, you can get more by dragging it underneath. The same with video. If you keep dragging it over the top, it'll make video 4. You can layer them on top.
So video 4. So if you wanted to get a 4th video
Yeah,
layer,
so
drag
for it, I
that
would
file.
drag this video file and then just put it on top there. And it's made an audio extra on the video. Again, if I wanted to add a certain effect, so if I look over here, it says project video test and all that stuff. There's one that says effects. If you can't see it, yeah, there should be a little arrow. You click on effects and you've got all these different things on here. Again, some of them are a bit artistic. You can just look through which ones you might want to use, or we'll stick with transition maybe and do a simple cross dissolve. So if you go find video transitions, dissolve, and then cross dissolve, you can click and drag that between the 2 clips and it will make a transition. So video transitions, dissolve, cross dissolve, and then drag that in between those 2
It
clips.
leaves a lucky red. So
Try it one more time. So click and drag it over.
Oh, I see.
Try and drag it in the middle of them. See what
Oh,
happens.
okay.
If you want to undo something, Command Z. Yeah. Hold it up above them. Try one more time.
Maybe I'm in the right place.
So drag it down. Yeah, there you go. Boom.
Oh, I see.
And it's made. So
Right,
when you play
right,
it back,
got it. Yeah.
it'll do like a
Yeah.
transition.
What are these red things?
That's just a marker between those 2
right.
clips. You can click away somewhere. It will go.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Imagine your clip at the end was too long and you wanted to cut it down. You can rather put your mouse at the end and a little red marker will come, and with an arrow you can drag that down and it will cut it to be shorter. Or if you want it to go a bit longer, you can drag it out. If you wanted to cut bits out of the clip, down the side you've got razor tool.
Yep.
Click on that, and again that means you can cut bits off and then go back to your arrow and then
Select
click
it.
and select it and
Delete it.
delete it, or say we want to move it
Right.
So you could put in the
over the top.
transition at a different place. Or
yeah, or something like that. So you might want to, I don't know, make it a bit jarring. Just cut loads of bits off. Don't know what this is going to look like, but we'll just
And it shows the top clip, does it?
yeah, anything that's on top will be shown first. So it's all over the place. Yeah,
Yep.
so it's all cutting around.
So how do you play that? You press space
The
bar?
space bar, yeah.
So do you have to click?
So you click the.
Oh.
So you got your blue tag, and that's where it's going to start
Yeah.
playing. And you press
Yeah.
spacebar and it will work.
Right, so you can
Is
drag
there a
that.
shortcut to bring it straight back to the beginning again?
You can either just drag it or press up loads until it goes straight to the. So it will go to the last clip if you press up and down,
Right.
or you just drag it back to the start.
Oh, that's
Or
clever.
if you click where it says at the top here, it's got what's it called?
Yeah, back to the beginning.
Go to in, yeah, that'll go to the end, and then one will go to the end. So those little shortcuts there to go straight to the end. If you wanted to add text, there's something that people probably ask. There's the T
Yep.
text there. You simply click on it and then just drag it over the area you want, and then it should load something. There you go, and then you can type out horror film. If you wanted to change this up a bit, this is when I wait for Richard. If you want to change that text or the style or anything like that, if you go to your source panel at the top, it should say effects control.
Yeah.
So this means like if you go to any effect that you apply on, so if you're doing color grading or anything like that, all the effects will be in this tab here. So you'll go and scroll down all these different effects that you've been adding. So it looks a bit confusing. But on effects control here, you've got your text that we put on. It says horror film in brackets. There's the font. There's the style where you can make it where the alignment is.
Yeah.
Fill of the color of the text, position, scale, all that sort of stuff. So that's where you can play with it all. But make sure you highlight the text when you want to
And what's the difference between the source like
panel.
effects, video effects, and then if you come down to the bottom, it's looking at
Okay, so where it says effects down here, this is your library of effects. You put them onto your clip that you want to do, and effects control is where you manipulate, adjust them at the top. Last thing I'm going to look through is sound. So if you want to turn something up and turn something down, simplest way, where it says A1, where the audio is, where your sound, you go in this little blank area where there's nothing.
Yeah.
You just double click, it'll open up the
Oh,
waveform.
Yeah.
You see that white line?
Yep.
That's essentially where the volume is. You can either drag it up, and it will turn it up, or drag it down, and it will turn it
Oh,
down.
right, okay.
So when they want to fade something in, you can rather go onto your audio transitions and find something on there to just fade it in, or we can do it manually ourselves. But I'll show you how to manually do it because it's easier. So you've got your waveform, you've got your turn up and down. What you do is find your pen tool on your tool list.
Yep.
So there's a pen.
Yep.
So click on there, and you add just 2 points. So you get your pen tool line
Oh,
up with the
fade
phone.
in or fade
Yeah,
out.
you click 1 point
Yeah.
and another point, and then you choose which one to. So if I was going to fade in, I'll bring this one down, and then it will slowly go up that area. So yeah, that would be a fade out. So I play it.
This is similar to iMovie.
Yeah,
Similar.
and then you add another point, you can fade that down.
This looks different.
Yeah.
So,
But yeah. Lastly is exporting a video. So imagine I was happy and this was the end of my video. Any questions about anything that we need to do?
if I wanted to now change the audio in this section, I see I've
Okay.
plotted 1 point.
Yeah.
so this left and right,
Yeah.
whatever you do on there affects both, does it? Or do you have to do it on both of them?
What do you mean?
Well, we've just changed the volume on that.
Yeah.
What about the right one?
Oh, that's the whole thing. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it would just do it on both. Yeah.
So it just comes from the middle here and it does
Yeah,
both.
yeah, it's doing both. So it's not saying it's more on the left. It's just
Yours
like-
come from underneath, it looks like that. Mine come from this line.
Yes, if you drag that to the bottom,
Oh, yeah.
that means it's going from no decibels,
Oh, I see.
and then it's going to go up to 0 decibels.
Right, got you.
So it's going to
Okay.
it's going to go up to
Okay.
like minus 0, 0.
So it started on the midpoint.
Yeah, so it started
Yeah.
and then went up. So with
Yeah.
yours, Handy, yours started up.
I
really
didn't
high
understand
and then
that.
going quiet.
Yeah.
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 What else is useful?
What about getting the type to come in from the side and that?
So moving
Effects.
stuff.
Yeah. Motion, is it?
Yeah, that's all keyframes. So if you wanted to let me just go through exporting, and then I'll stop the video. Then we'll go on
Yeah.
to something else. So we go to, if we're finished with our video, we click our timeline.
Yep.
So it's all, that's the
Yep.
thing that we want to export. We go over to File. Export and Media. And then you normally want to just stick with these two bits up here. So I'll wait for yours to. Do you want File Export Media? Try yours again. Oh, click on the timeline because that's what you want to export. There you go. Now try again.
It's just if you forget to do one of these things.
Yeah,
you
one
can't
step.
find it.
There you go. It's lined up. So format's the first one you start with. So you
Yeah.
click where it says QuickTime. You want H.264.
264,
And is
not
that
Blu-ray.
always?
Yeah, because if you have it as a QuickTime, sometimes it doesn't play on a certain device, and then that means one of us won't be able to see it. So H.264 is normally the best one. Recently, I've been leaving preset to match source to high bit rate just to let it, because that normally works. But usually, I click on it and make sure they go on high quality 1080p HD.
Yep.
That's my normal go-to. Then it says output name. You click on that blue text. You can name it horror. And make sure it's on your desktop. So click on
Sorry.
that blue text.
Oh,
on there.
right, okay.
You can name it. And then essentially that's it. And then you click export.
Desktop. Yep.
If I save,
Video file set in MP4.
yeah, all
That's
good.
what it does.
And then click export at the end, and it will render your video out. And then now you've got a video. So what some students do is they think this is the finished film, so they go file save as, and then it would save it as just this Premiere Pro file, and they'll put that onto Shobi, and you can't view that because you don't have the clips. So imagine I deleted all those video clips that I put on your desktop, and then, well, let's see what happens. I'll show you what happens. If I just delete this, it's then going to go. Should just. Oh no, because I've got one of my. Let me check this as well. Okay, I have to actually delete it. Yeah, okay. Yeah, this would happen. Yeah, and then you
Yeah.
get this big screen saying, "Where's the
Yeah.
film? What's
Yeah.
going on?" Blah. It's because they haven't got that footage on there.
So if they brought the footage back onto the system,
Yeah.
it would recognise and pick up.
It
Yeah,
does the same
straight
thing in
away.
InDesign. Exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
If you get rid of the pictures, because all the pictures are only previews.
So yeah, this normally happens with
Yeah.
all students. Where I say
Yeah.
before you even opened up your document, make sure everything you used is on a little folder. That's why if I had a hard drive, I'd just stick my hard drive in. Premiere Pro knows where all those files are and go straight away.
So Premiere Pro is generating that project.
Yeah,
folder
it's making
first.
it. Yeah, it's making that, but it's using the other bits of
So
footage
you must have both of them
Yeah.
stored.
because that's the issue when we have our space because they can't store it on here, or when they put it on the desktop and then they log off, it deletes everything. So
Got
they
you.
need to make sure it's always there.
So when they come to
Otherwise-
edit again, they would just open up the video test project.
Yeah, and then
But
with
they
the
must
footage.
have access to
Yeah.
the footage. Yeah.
So if I stick in my hard drive now, and it's the same even if you move, because at the moment the file path it's saying it's in on the desktop. Even if I move that onto somewhere else on my computer, the Premiere Pro last time it looked, it was on the desktop. So you either have to put it onto desktop or tell Premiere Pro where it is now. So what I'm going to do is it's asking me, oh, it should be on the desktop, but it's in my hard drive. I'm just going to go locate, find it on my hard drive. Where is it? Find it on there. Chase down corridor and press OK, and then it should locate the rest of them. So if you do have a hard drive, I try and use it
Detects
like that.
it and
Yeah, and then
moves.
it's all back because it knows now the pathway is on my hard drive rather than on the desktop.
Yep.
So wherever it is, Premiere Pro
That's
knows
the
to know
same
where
on
it
the
is.
other programs.
So it has
They
to
do
be the
that.
same every time that they want to go and access that project. They're going to have to plug in their hard drive because that's where it's expected
Yeah.
to find it.
Yeah, and and if they didn't plug that in, it'll be like, where is it?
Mm.
And it's on my desktop, but
Mm.
you
You've
can't
gotta
do
then
that.
locate it,
Yeah, you've got to
connect
tell it where it
link
is again. So normally you want to try and keep it as simple